Hey guys, welcome back to more mother-in-law stories. In this video, my insane mother-in-law called the police on me after I locked her out of my house because she tried to take away my child. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. So we are not all blessed to have wonderful and healthy relationships with our parents. There are plenty of us out there who have grown estranged to the ones that raised us. I, male 37, have a great relationship with my parents. I really could not think of two other people who I can utterly rely on as them, but my SO, female 32, is not so lucky. When we first started dating, she always avoided the subject of her parents and made excuses whenever I would ask about meeting them. She was very open about her father passing away in her teenage years, but when it came to the topic of her mother, it was a completely different story. As our relationship developed, my SO finally opened up about her mother, explaining that she was a control freak to the point where she would manipulate people into doing the things she wanted them to do. Like I said, I had great parents, so struggled a little to relate, but I respected my SO in her decision to distance herself from her mother when her father passed away. It was not so bad. My SO's mother was just some phantom in the background that rarely came up in our day-to-day life, but then we got married. For obvious reasons, my SO's mother was not invited, but that didn't stop her showing up unannounced and making quite the scene. She went about criticizing my SO and my choices in just about everything, from the dress to my suit, the church, the venue we chose for the reception. She even had quite a few negative things to say about the cane pass. That day was when I truly understood my SO and why she kept her distance from my now mother-in-law. While mother-in-law might have tried her best to spoil our big day, we still managed to enjoy ourselves despite her constant desire to ruin everything. The years went by and we were doing a pretty good job of keeping mother-in-law out of our lives. There was even a point where I thought she had finally gotten the message and left us alone. Oh boy, how wrong I was. It feels like the second I found out that my SO was pregnant, mother-in-law got a sixth sense and decided to drop in on our happy life once more, just to make sure we were not too happy. All through the pregnancy, mother-in-law kept showing up unannounced to add her 2 cents about what we should be doing to prepare for the baby's arrival. It was a nightmare, constantly looking over our shoulder, making secret plans just in case she would find out and intercept us. What should have been a happy time for me and my SO became a paranoia-inducing nightmare. Things only got worse once the baby did arrive. Mother-in-law showed up at the hospital, stressing my SO out to the point where I had to tell the hospital that mother-in-law was not welcome and to not let her in. That was a fun little argument I had with mother-in-law when I came out of the hospital to fetch my SO some munch from the high-brand coffee shop she had been craving. Mother-in-law ambushed me right outside the hospital and was all teary-eyed and making out like she had been wronged in some way. I honestly don't get how she didn't understand that we did not want her in our lives because she was an incredibly toxic person. This carried on over the course of about a year, and I was at my wit's end. I was tired from all the late nights with the baby, drained from running around doing everything so my SO could recuperate, and mentally diminished with having to deal with mother-in-law and keeping her away from my family. Mother-in-law thought she had rights over my child because she was the grandmother. She was pretty convinced that the law would back her up. I was not so sure and wanted her to stay away. She was simply not welcome. I thought that would get her to stay away, and for a time it felt like it had worked, but boy, was I wrong. She had used this time to plot something heinous. Furthermore, in the past at some point we actually let her help babysit our child and we gave her the keys to our house, which she never returned for some reason. So after some time we decided it would be a good idea to probably change the locks so she couldn't just come in anytime she wanted. Nonetheless, one faithful day she showed up unannounced as she always did, lugging a suitcase. I thought it was strange, but she tells me and my SO that she is going away on a trip for a little while around the world and wanted to say goodbye. The idea that she would be out of our sight completely for a year sounded too good to be true, so me and my SO decided to indulge her for an hour or two because after that we were free of her. While we were sad being civil, SO puts the baby down for a nap, everything is unusually calm. Then mother-in-law says she needs to use the bathroom and heads out. She is gone for a while and I wonder what she could possibly be doing, and that is when I notice her suitcase is missing. I run up to the bathroom and notice my child's door is open, and upon inspection I see all the drawers open and empty. Mother-in-law had stolen my damn child. In a panic I run outside just in time to see mother-in-law waddling down the path, my child in her arms all dressed up as if going to the park. I confront her, shouting out the window. She tried to make a run for it, but with child and suitcase in hand, she didn't make it very far, and I caught up to her. SO is right behind me and absolutely lays into her mother as I take my child back and the suitcase of her clothes back inside. I can hear my SO screaming at her mother from inside the house. When I come back outside to back up my SO, mother-in-law is on the phone and talking to someone. She is in hysterics, crying and babbling and stuff. It took me a minute to realize that mother-in-law was on the phone to the police and making up the absolute worst lies, claiming that I was being abusive towards my child and her, and that we locked her out of the house for no reason. Apparently trying to hurt her and the baby. The police arrived in short order, and they treated me and my SO like we were the criminals, searching us, reading us our rights and segregating us so as not to cause any more stress to mother-in-law. I was shocked, but I played along knowing full well that we had done nothing wrong. I could hear mother-in-law give her statement. She was not exactly quiet about it. I think she wanted me to hear the trouble I was gonna be in. The police then came to me and my SO. He had a very stern look on his face, and there was a part of me that thought I was actually gonna be in trouble, that the officer believed mother-in-law's BS. He took my statement, asked a huge amount of questions about me, my SO, our child, and about our personal lives, trying to get a gauge of their level of mistreatment. After I gave my statement, he softened a little. Maybe he realized that mother-in-law was the one that was lying here, but he asked me if there were any witnesses, any way to prove my side of the story, and I casually waved a hand to indicate literally the whole block we lived on. My neighbors were all witnesses to the atrocity that was my mother-in-law, with the amount of times we had argued on the front lawn for her to leave us alone. I also gave the details of the nursery my child went to, who were witnesses to how well we treated our child and how much she was loved and cared for. The officer must have seen how genuine me and my SO were, as he said that he was not gonna arrest us and he was going to issue mother-in-law with a caution unless we wanted to press charges. I had considered letting mother-in-law off the hook, but that was only the briefest flash of compassion that was quickly squashed by the years of constant harassment. So yes, me and my SO pressed charges and mother-in-law was taken away in handcuffs. It took about a month for the proceedings to go through and stuff, but mother-in-law was charged with attempted kidnapping. Let's just say she didn't get off lightly and we don't have to worry about her anymore. Thank God. And the next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for pressing charges against my racist mother-in-law and leaving hubby for siding with her? And by the way, if you still enjoy the mother-in-law stories, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much in advance. I'm Filipino and my husband is Chinese. His mom does not approve of me from the beginning and even told him that Filipinos are mates only. At the beginning my husband defended me, he even threatened to cut ties with her if she tries anything, so she backed off. He proposed and that's where the trouble slowly started again. She was not happy. My sister-in-law told me that my mother-in-law did not expect us to last too long because she expected my husband to come to his senses. She basically tried to jeopardize our wedding, threatened not to come, even told our guests that there was a typo in our invitation card and gave them the wrong date. Luckily, they reconfirmed it with us and my husband actually waved it off and said that his mom is just scared for him and that I should understand because she grew up in a very traditional home. That should have been my first red flag, but I was too in love with him that I ignored it. I was 8 months pregnant a month ago. My husband insisted on going to mother-in-law's house for a family reunion. I did not want to because of the human growing in me and being too tired because I was still working. He insisted because of his mom will not take no for an answer. So we went. Biggest regret, at the dinner I started feeling weird and lightheaded. I told my husband about it, but he waved me off, told me to go up to his old room and lay down. I said this was different and we should go to the hospital just in case. His mom butted in and told me not to ruin their dinner, just shut up and go upstairs. I gave my husband a look and said, "You really gonna let her talk to me like that?" And well, that dickhead just shrugged and told me to calm down. I did not go up. I knew something was wrong here. I called my dad to get him to bring me to the hospital. I felt like I was floating, my body felt numb and I wanted to puke. I felt like fainting. My dad arrived and I left without letting them know. They didn't care, so why should I? I don't know how else to say this. My baby's heartbeat stopped. I was told the chances at this point of pregnancy were low, but it happened. I was drugged and also had alcohol in my system. But I didn't drink any since I was pregnant and I don't do drugs. Sister-in-law admitted she saw mother-in-law added stuff into my drinks and food later on. My husband refused to believe that and sided with mother-in-law, saying I must have taken something accidentally. Sister-in-law told him what mother-in-law did, but he still didn't believe it. By the way, sister-in-law always hated mother-in-law, hubby was the favorite child. I reported it to the police, sister-in-law as my witness, I pressed charges and I will not stop until she is behind bars. I told some of my closest friends about it, and they said I am an a-hole for divorcing him, but how can I be with someone who doesn't side with me on this? Who refuses to believe his mom is the reason our baby is gone forever? He has not even acknowledged that she is gone, all he cares about is clearing his mom's name. I'm devastated. Am I the a-hole here? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think OP is being the a-hole here or not? Honestly, I see no universe where OP is the a-hole. What her husband's mom has done is absolutely despicable, and honestly, I cannot even find words how to describe it. And furthermore, of course, OP did the right choice in divorcing the husband. That is probably one of the most spineless people I've ever read about on Reddit. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments. So why does some people say that I am the a-hole? Well, OP has also provided 2 small comments in her post, the first one adds some more context. So some have asked why sister-in-law did not tell me that mother-in-law added something to my food and drinks. She came to me after, she was crying saying she didn't realize at the time and only connected the dots after she found out what happened. Sister-in-law is only 17 and I believe she was really scared going against her mom. As for the toxicology report, there was high levels of fentanyl, opioids and alcohol. As for my friends who called me an a-hole, they are also close to my husband and they said it was unfair because he also lost a child. I told them he didn't seem to care and they called me an a-hole. And by the way guys, it also seems like OP has some really bad friends. Anyway, OP also made a comment in response to people questioning the specific details of the whole deal, and then OP said, I know I don't have to explain myself to you, but I want to. I won't explain more on the medical concerns because frankly I don't know anything about it. All I know is what happened to me. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you. As for my title, my post was banned due to violence on Am I the A-hole, so I hope you understand that this is a very sensitive subject. Lastly, I may be a Filipina and he's a Chinese, but that doesn't automatically mean that we are living in the Philippines or China. I purposely did not disclose my country for privacy reasons because if I do, people like you will hunt the article down, which includes my identity along with my family's. And now we got an update to this story. I did not think that my life would ever be in danger. I knew mother-in-law hated me, but I did not know that she would ever try something like this. And as for my friends who called me an a-hole, well, they are also close to my husband, and until today, the both of them don't believe that my husband did anything wrong, that he is innocent and just caught in his mother's lies that he lost a child too, but is in denial. I don't know how to go about this, so I've decided to cut ties with them. But I do have other amazing friends who have been completely supportive and helping me throughout this. I will not touch any more on sister-in-law as she is a minor and father-in-law is not in the picture. I'll try my best to update again soon. Update number 2, this will be my final post. Thank you for the support, it truly means the world to me. So this has been the most horrible and excruciating few weeks of my life and it's finally almost over. Ex-mother-in-law could not get away thanks to my sister-in-law and the evidence was also found in her house. She then finally confessed after a month and she has received the death sentence this morning because what she did is not taken lightly in our country. Her son is claiming he has nothing to do with it and will receive no punishment since there's no proof. I truly don't know if he was involved or not, but I cannot be around him ever again. I've not spoken privately with him since that night, and now I only communicate with him through lawyers. Sister-in-law is currently living with a close relative. She is safe. I know some of you are concerned for her well-being, and I'm living with my parents again. I honestly couldn't have gotten through this without them. They are truly my rock. We are finalizing our divorce by this week. My family has advised me to sue him for everything he and his family has put me through. This was a hate crime. I don't understand how can a grandmother do this just because my baby was a girl and not pure Chinese. I've heard stuff like this happens in China, but we are not even living there. Why bring your close-minded ideologies and traditions here? Why did my baby have to pay the price for this? I don't know how people continue life after the loss of a child. Her funeral is next week. I named her Mary Elizabeth. R.I.P. my love. Mama loves you and will see you soon. As for the ex-mother-in-law, she was sentenced to death, the sister-in-law is safe and the divorce began processing. This story is flat as concluded. Anyway, the next one is titled, Don't Mess With Your Daughters. So I moved out from my mother's house since I was going off to university to study math and physics. My brother had a girlfriend who I really liked and respected. I soon accepted her as part of my family. She used to spend lots of time at our place because her parents were a nightmare. They were pretty poor, which doesn't have anything to do with them being horrible parents, just for context. But they were also stingy AF. Here in Germany, you will get money for your child to buy them food, provide shelter, warmth and clothes. However, her parents did not spend her child money on anything for her. She had to sleep in a dark, cold room, buy her own clothes and got no pocket money. The only money she got was from her job being a post girl. That job only accounted to around 48 euros total in a month. Which I suppose nowadays is like $55 or something like that. And also, her bus ticket would already cost her 58 euros, so she had to ask her mom to lend her something, which she would have to pay back to her. Her parents did not want her to move out or go study, since she was way too intelligent for them to ever control, unlike her simple brothers. When she said she wanted to move together with my brother into the city, where she had gotten an apprenticeship, her mom nearly exploded. She actually had hoped that she wouldn't get the job so she could realize how stupid she was for wanting a good future for herself. You can imagine how much her parents hated my brother. Fast forward, I come back home to stay a few weeks at home, visiting friends and relatives. She is as usual at our house, but my mom then told me that she was living here permanently, being registered exactly at my home address. I'm a little stunned, as I had only some days before that suggested the very thing to her, and she said she didn't want to break ties with her family. But things changed when her mom tried to cut up her prom dress she had been given by my mom as a present. She was furious about what her mother wanted to do. She just explained that she never got such a nice dress before, so why would her daughter? My brother's girlfriend just called my brother, my mother then drove him, and since his car is getting fixed, to her. They just packed up the most stuff they could carry, not including a lot of stuff my brother's girlfriend had gotten as a present, since she didn't pay for it, so it wasn't her. So her bike, her clothes given to her by her aunt, and some of the presents she had gotten from my brother had to be left behind, since she was threatening with the police. The last words were, "You can always come back to us, when he has beaten you black and blue. We love you." And yes, my brother can be an a-hole, but he never got violent towards anyone. Since this day she is living with us, and now here comes the juice. Since my mom is really good with law and legal stuff, we have gotten her parents to pay her the child money they are now owning her. We also requested for a money support for her, since she got no income and she is only 18, so she will get a lot of money, plus her child money, plus the apprenticeship earnings, plus a little extra from our family. Since she is not living with her family anymore, they were getting living money, which is a financial support given to you per person and square meters of your living space. The living money also got a lot less. Mind you, her parents were gifting themselves smartwatches and laptops for Christmas. My brother's girlfriend had gotten a shampoo bottle with a discount label on it. So then after a few days they realized they were in a lot of financial doo-doo and had to pay her back 4 months of child support, which they couldn't. They pleaded for the amount to be halved, which my brother's girlfriend could have agreed to. However, she just took a pen and said "F that," crossed out their plea and put it back into the envelope. She now does not have anything to do with her family anymore, who tried through multiple means to get to her. I really admire her for staying that cool all these years. She rocks. And yeah, Ripe stars, props to that young woman for standing up to her terrible family. It's rare to find someone so young and so mature at the same time. Anyway, the next one is an Am I the A-hole story. My wife, 25 female, and I, 27 male, have been married 6 months now. I have a good job in sales and I've managed to save enough to get together a deposit for a house. It's true that my parents have helped me out quite a bit too financially. My wife has not been employed very consistently though. She has worked as a model, but has not saved much at all. So I bought the house and the estate agent handed over the keys to me. My wife was not there at the handover. I was obviously super excited to show her the house and for us to start our lives together. We drove up to the house yesterday. I said to her while we sat in the car outside, "Is it okay if I go in alone first, just so I can have a moment alone in my first home?" I felt that it was a significant moment in my life and I wanted to experience it alone, even just for 30 seconds. My wife was upset about this and has been off with me ever since. We have moved some of our stuff in, but she is clearly pissed. I think she's being selfish. My brother says I'm being ridiculous. Edit, thanks for the comments guys, I was not expecting that much of a response. I do see that all the replies are leaning towards me being the a-hole. I have decided to apologize to my wife properly. I think I was quite caught up in the emotional intensity of the milestone. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this, but I think it's quite clear. I don't think there's a universe here where OP is not the a-hole. Anyway, people on Reddit said, "You're the a-hole, it's a big moment for you, but probably for her too." Even if it's not a big moment for her, sharing in each other's big moments is usually a big part of marriage. You telling her to wait in the car is a huge and unnecessary slight. Why are you even married if you're still thinking in terms of mine and yours? Comment number 2, you're the a-hole. First, you're married, so by nature, share everything. Second, by you wanting to go in alone, you have now set the precedent that she doesn't belong there. It's not our house, it's your house. How can she feel comfortable there now? And how can she feel like you're a partnership like you're supposed to be as a married couple if you're so possessive of such a huge joint responsibility? No wonder she feels uncomfortable. You need to do something to make her feel reassured that it's her home too. Comment number 3, you're the a-hole, you sound like a brat. Why did this woman even agree to marry you, bought a house, and because you paid for it you excluded your spouse? That is just selfish, controlling, possessive, and probably you're a narcissist too. And yeah guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. And also check out my podcast by searching for Ripestories on Spotify, Amazon, Audible, and other podcast platforms. You will often find exclusive episodes and early access to new content. Furthermore, please check out my Patreon by going to patreon.com/RipeYouTube or my YouTube membership program for even more exclusive stories. Thank you so much, and I will see you again tomorrow.